Welcome to Tequila and Terror, a paranormal and true crime podcast where we drink tequila and tell terrible tales. My name is Keisha, and I will be telling the paranormal stories, and Wes will cover the true crime.
And we have been drinking today.
Quite a lot.
Yep. I spilt booze all over my lap.
And all over my new rug.
Sorry.
It's. I mean, you bought it, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, we'd like
It'll wash.
Well, thanks to the people in Mexico and Canada that listen to us. I don't know any Canadian words, but maple syrup.
I don't... French?
A.
They speak French.
Yeah. And Mexicans
English.
probably accidentally found us by Googling tequila, I'm guessing.
Or Americans who were in Mexico. Like Brittany and Will were in Mexico last week and listened to us there, I'm sure. Or maybe they didn't, but...
Should we bleep their names out?
No. I'm sure they're cool with it.
Okay.
If not, then sorry. Sorry, what was it?
Okay.
Whitney and Brew.
Yeah. Okay, well, we just called those people out. So go ahead.
They're my friends.
We're not
It's
starting
fine.
over. What are you going to tell us about, Keisha?
Okay, today we are going to talk about Earnestine and Hazel's, which is in Memphis, which is we're Memphis adjacent. I'm surprised we haven't ever been.
I know.
It's a new trip. What do you call that? Oh, what do you call that?
Adventure?
Like when you put it on the list, like a destination to
Bucket list?
put, not like a bucket list, but I don't know. Okay. It's a new idea.
This is Keisha on booze. This is probably
Hi.
the first episode you've really heard Keisha half drunk.
Because this is the first episode that I have been not sick. So congrats to me. All right. So Earnestine and Hazel's is located at 351 Main Street in downtown Memphis. That's in Tennessee for all y'all who aren't here close.
What? Not Egypt?
All y'all. It was actually intended to be a church in the late 1800s, but ended up as a dry goods store. In the late 1930s, Abe Plow bought the building and used the downstairs space as a pharmacy, while he rented the upstairs space out to sisters Ernestine Mitchell and Hazel Jones, who turned the space into a beauty salon.
Oh.
Getting fancy. But Abe created a product. Oh, God. Abe created a product that would straighten the hair out, which became extremely popular in the area.
Huh.
Popular.
Popular on
Popular. Close, yeah. And Ernestine and Hazel are said to have used the product in their salon. So Abe actually created a lot of different things in his pharmacy, and he went on to invent the famous copper tone suntan lotion.
Really?
Which made him a multi-millionaire.
I've used that.
Yeah, you have. I have used a lot of that because of the ginger skin. Anyway, so he is actually said to have been one of the bigger philanthropists in Tennessee history. And once he became rich, it is said that he gave the building to Ernestine and Hazel because he was like, what am I going to do with this building? I don't need it anymore. And they turned the downstairs portion into a jazz cafe and split up the upstairs space, using half for their salon. And the other half of the rooms ended up being a bordello.
What's a bordello?
A bordello? Like a brothel?
Fancy name for a whorehouse.
Okay, babe. And they ended up renting it out by the hour. Ernestine's husband was a music producer and club promoter in Memphis who went by the street name Sunbeam. And he opened Club Paradise near his wife's business, the Jazz Cafe.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Club Paradise is where Sunbeam booked artists such as Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, and Chuck Berry to perform.
Wow, that's full of history.
Yeah.
How have we never heard of this?
I have no idea. I have a friend who was like, hey, this place is super haunted. You should probably look this up. And I was like, gotcha, girl.
That's cool. We're going soon.
Yeah. So after the performances, the artists and the audience would go down to Ernestine and Hazel's because they served cheap neck bones, hog maws, and, would provide the opportunity for more drinking and dancing and...
Nothing like a good neck bone to get me hungry and thirsty.
I mean, you know, whatever you're into. And also, they would go upstairs and...
Visit the bordello?
Visit the ladies of the night.
Our stories have a lot of whores in them.
Hey.
All of them.
Listen.
Bordellos.
These people made their money the best the way they knew how.
It's the oldest profession. It's
It is.
nothing wrong with it.
You do what you got to do to make it work. Okay, so Ray Charles actually was said to have stayed upstairs quite often.
Really?
And was quite frequently entertained by the prostitutes. And most of the
Ray
people...
Charles the blind one?
Now you had to go and ask me. I don't remember. I don't get me lying. Why don't you use the Google?
Nah, that's cool. We'll just go
Anyways,
with it.
so they would go upstairs, they would drink, party, and then they would walk down 2 blocks to the Lorraine Motel to sleep it off.
Oh, everybody knows what happened there.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, it's really depressing. Anyways, so by the 80s...
Don't, then buy a history book.
Yeah.
Or go to Memphis and see the beautiful Lorraine Motel.
Alrighty then. By the 80s, the club was losing business due to the wild regulars and the bordello. The club seemed damned until local bar owner Russell George stepped in. A little background on Russell. Russell. At age 10, he competed in and won first prize in the James Brown dance competition at the Mid-South Coliseum.
Oh, wow.
The contest was judged by James Brown himself, and Russell was the only white boy who competed. By age 15, he was running an illegal bar named Jefferson in the rear out of his apartment.
I like Russell.
I kind of figured he would. In his 20s, he became manager and dancer of the R&B group called Icebreakers. And he actually became the owner of the bar because he met with a club promoter in the late 80s who suggested that he purchase Earnestine and Hazel's and turn it into a bar. And he bought it and kicked everyone out and then reopened on St. Patrick's Day in 1993.
Well, 1993, so pretty recent.
Yeah, I was a wee little thing.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the ghosts. Bartender and manager at Ernestine and Hazel's, Karen Brownlee, claims that even though Ernestine and Hazel both passed in the 90s, their spirits still remain in the bar, stating that in 2007, when her own son was shot and killed, she believes that Mrs. Ernestine helped her through the tough time.
Holy crap.
She stated that she had a habit of speaking aloud to Miss Ernestine when she was alone in the bar, you know, to like calm herself. And she felt as though Miss Ernestine's spirit was still with them and caused the following event. Karen claims that she sat at the end of the bar that day talking to God and asking for a sign that her son was all right, when a baby bird emerged from a booth, walked toward the door, and flew away.
Holy crap.
She stated that later that day, a woman that she had never met before came in and asked her if she was okay. Unprompted. Just came in and was like, hey, are you all right? Karen explained why she was upset, why she was crying, and the woman comforted her. The woman left, but returned later with a sterling silver necklace with a bird on it, gave her a hug, and left. And after this encounter, she had never saw the woman again.
So that was an angel?
To this day. Yeah.
That's how you get angels.
Yeah. I mean, it was either an angel or it was the next sentence. Russell, the owner at the time, turned to her and said, Ernestine is watching over you, man.
Wow.
Your girl got chills.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. She also claims that she has heard the piano playing upstairs, people talking and walking around while she was alone, and that the jukebox downstairs has come on by itself on multiple occasions, playing music that pertains to conversations that are being held near it. On one occasion, it would help if I could talk, the day that...
Let the booze flow.
The day that James Brown passed, she was talking to a coworker about his passing, and the jukebox turned on and started playing I Feel Good.
Wow.
Yeah, she stated that another time a paranormal investigator was speaking with the owner, and the song Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones started playing.
That's awesome.
I thought so. She said that sometimes you can take pictures and see faces in the walls. She also stated that she has some customers, I can't read, y'all, that were making fun of the place, stating that the paranormal claims weren't true, and they were making fun of Ernestine and Hazel themselves.
That's pretty
I
low.
need to not drink.
I mean, I'm a skeptic, but I wouldn't go in there and just say, your ghosts aren't real.
Yeah, I mean...
Because they were people.
They were people.
But now they're ghosts, maybe, if those exist.
Probably. So they were making fun of Ernestine and Hazel themselves when all of a sudden the lights started flickering, becoming dim, bright, until all of a sudden it was, quote, bright as sunshine in there.
Wow.
The customers got spooked and they left. They were like, bye, y'all. See you later or not. Yeah. There are a lot of stories stating that the prostitutes were murdered or committed suicides in the upstairs brothel area.
That just goes along with the territory. I mean there's always hookers and trunks.
Oh God. Babe. Anyways, which is said to explain why people sometimes feel as though their hand is being grabbed at the top of the staircase, like they're going to be led to one of the rooms.
Stop of the staircase.
Yeah, I do that a lot. And it said that former owner George Russell would hear voices and glasses clinking when the bar was empty, and that the sounds of partying would continue long after closing time.
It's closing time.
Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. There are claims that there is an apparition of a man carrying a white candle. And paranormal investigators once captured a similar apparition around 3 a.m. in front of the bar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are there pictures of that? Did you find any?
I didn't find any. Huh. I really didn't find any pictures of any of this. I mean, it's just claims, hearsay.
It's pretty cool.
But it's cool to think about.
Yeah.
Tragically.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it gets dark.
There's always a but.
Yeah. Sometimes there's multiple. George Russell, the previous owner, was the 13th person claimed to have died at Earnestine and Hazel's. He passed away in 2013 of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after a long battle with cancer. The room he shot himself in is now locked permanently. They don't go inside. Out of respect.
Yeah, I could see that.
And some say that his spirit still remains on the property.
Wow.
So, having brought things down a little bit, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I mean, that's really cool. We've got to go there, at least get a burger. A soul burger, they call it.
Soul burger. And Wes was talking about how I need 2 soul burgers because I'm a ginger and I need a soul.
You need an extra soul.
Because I don't have one.
You have a soul, I'm sure.
I need to buy
a Kia soul?
Kia soul.
Not sponsored by Kia, but if you want to give us a free car, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we're not sponsored by anybody, but if you want to sponsor us, hit your girl up.
Yeah. Yeah, but you took it down dark, and I'm not going to help it any.
Oh, no.
I know. It's kind of sad.
It'll be okay, y'all.
We'll survive through it. I mean, you probably didn't click on something called Tequila and Terror to hear sober people tell happy stories.
I'm going to assume that you're correct, sir.
Okay. So this story is about Jesse Tafero.
I'm proud of you for saying that.
Yeah, his last name looks tricky.
Yeah, it does. I can see the computer screen from where I'm sitting.
It's a pretty rough story, but
oh heavens!
But we're gonna do it.
I'm gonna settle in here with my drink.
Yep, and I could say that it's about a lot of people, but we're just gonna say the main character in this. My version is Jesse. There's some other people affected, lots of people. But,
oh goodness. Okay.
But here we go.
Buckle up, buttercups. You're in for a wild ride.
Jesse Tafero knew for a long time that this day might come, but never expected it to happen. Today was the day he was scheduled to die in Florida's electric chair. There would be no last-minute calls from the governor. The Board of Pardons and Clemency had no interest in hearing his case. In his final hours, Jesse spent time with his mother, had a couple of calls. One was to his daughter, one was to his girlfriend, Sonia. As the hours ticked by, Jesse talked with clergy and ate his final meal.
Do you know what he ate for his final meal?
Yep, scrambled eggs, fried pepperoni, toasted Italian bread, hot tea, and then for dessert, he had strawberry shortcake and whipped cream.
Whipped cream?
With whipped cream. He's like rubbing whipped cream on his nipples.
Okay, but who fries pepperoni?
I don't know. That's a weird last meal. I mean, it's...
I've recently gotten into, like, what people's last meals are. And that is really awkward.
Yeah.
Fried pepperoni and whipped cream, as Wes calls it.
Hey, I drunk... Today I did not have tequila. I had Crown Royal.
Yeah, we improvised, y'all. I apologize, we're not true to brand here, but I had Irish whiskey and Dr. Pepper with vanilla, and he had vanilla Crown.
Lots.
We're whiskey girls tonight.
Ooh. But one thing about the last meal was finally Jesse's realization that he was going to die. I mean, it kind of started sinking in. You don't get a last meal if you're going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah, it kind of hits you.
Yeah. And prison officials came in to shave his head and his legs so that the electrodes that they would attach later would have a better connection.
Oh, okay. But, like, can you just imagine? That is really dark, sorry. Like, the smell of singed hair after...
We'll get there. It gets a lot.
Okay.
Jesse was then dressed in a new shirt and pants. The jacket and the dress suit would be saved for his burial. So isn't that kind of dark?
At least they put him in clothes.
Here's you some new clothes, and don't wear the jacket because we're going to bury you in that.
At least they weren't like, here, sit in this chair naked and let everybody watch.
Yeah. But shortly before 7, Jesse was led to the execution chamber just a short walk away. Witnesses say Jesse is defiant. They said there was a look of disbelief on his face. He didn't think this day would ever happen. Now he was staring face to face with the electric chair.
Oh my God.
The execution chamber in Florida is not like you would expect. It's spotless and looks more like a hospital operating room than something you would see at a prison. The old wooden chair, nicknamed Old Sparky, we've heard of this before,
oh yeah,
sits in the middle of the room.
Is this the same?
It's the same. It's not the same state.
Oh, okay.
But...
Sorry, my memory is awful.
I think honestly, I don't remember. It was too much booze. I can't remember where Lena lived.
Too much booze.
I think it was Georgia.
I think Georgia.
It was Georgia Peach.
She was a Georgia
Cutbirth,
Peach.
Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
But Jesse was flanked by 2 guards who forced him to sit down in a chair. They then start placing heavy leather straps on his arms, legs, and chest. Jesse was not calm. Witnesses say he was extremely nervous, his chest was pumping, and was breathing rapidly. Which you would be. I mean, this would be pretty emotional.
Oh, yeah.
The warden asked Jesse if he had any final words, and Jesse said, "Well, I'd like to say that the death penalty as applied in this state is very arbitrary and capricious. For instance, this morning I filed 2 motions in court. It seems the federal court judge and the circuit court judge have just ignored my petitions. They were not heard by any court in the state of Florida. I think it's very unfair. I think it's time that everybody woke up and see the same laws that can go against crime can go against you tomorrow."
Okay, but...
That's some pretty heavy final words.
Yeah, but I need to know what this fella did.
We'll get there.
God, that was Southern.
That sure was. Electrodes were then placed on Jesse's head and leg. A gag was placed in his mouth, and a heavy leather mask was put over his face.
Oh, man.
The warden gave the signal. The switch was pulled. 2,000 volts went through Jesse's body. Jesse's body strained against the straps as the current hit him. The current stopped, and prison staff moved in. Sorry, a snake got in here.
Okay, wait. So he's gone. He's a goner.
Nope.
Okay.
Jesse was still alive.
Lord Jesus.
Another shock was given to Jesse. His body violently thrashed against the straps, and once again, the current stopped. Jesse's body relaxed, but he was still breathing.
Oh, heavens.
Yep. These stories in the electric chair seem like... I mean, it's a pretty good way to kill people, I guess, if you're going to do it, but...
I'm sorry. No. I mean, I'm sure it's effective, but there are other ways.
Yeah. Gunshots.
Yeah.
A third shock is given. Jesse is heaving and nodding his head as his body slams forward against the slabs. A flame nearly a foot high erupts from his head.
What? What?
Smoke and the smell of burning flesh quickly fill the room. The current stops, and 13 minutes after the execution started, Jesse was dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
That is terrifying. Okay, so...
Well, in Florida, the electric chair works when electricity passes from a wire into a sponge filled with saline solution that is placed directly on the head. Then the current leaves the body through an electrode on the leg. So if you've ever seen The Green Mile, when the guy wets the sponge and puts it on the head, well, it kind of works like that. But
yeah, I haven't seen it. If I haven't seen it with you, I probably haven't seen it.
It's a really good movie. The problem with this execution was that after 21 uses, the old sponge was wore out. Oh. So prison officials purchased a new synthetic sponge, not knowing that it wouldn't conduct electricity as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Witnesses said it looked painful.
Well, yeah.
But the prison doctor said that he was dead within seconds and didn't feel any pain.
I call BS.
Yeah,
I call absolute BS.
That's just a good PR guy.
Yeah. That's just them trying to cover their own butts.
Yeah. Prisoners said the prison smelled like burnt flesh for weeks. I can tell you if that's not a deterrent to crime, then nothing is.
I mean, yeah.
It's like old Jesse went to the... I mean, yeah.
I mean, if anyone else walked in there, like, what's that show where they bring the kids in to, like, try to tell them?
Scared Straight?
Yeah. If they did that after, like, when it smelled like burning flesh, no. I will never in my life commit a crime.
Yeah.
I won't even speed.
It's true.
I mean, that's bullcrap, but...
Well, now, Jesse Tafero had been in and out of trouble for most of his life and was currently out on parole for robbing for an attempted murder, for an attempted robbery.
Okay, so this is like prior to...
Yeah, because he's
I was
dead
like,
now.
You said he was dead, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's...
Okay, so you're flashback.
Yeah, flashback. Woo. A little different, just...
Cutscene.
Because the main focus of this was the execution. This is what brought all the attention to the case. Was fire shooting out of a dude's head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But early on the morning of February 20th, 1976, a Florida highway patrolman named Philip Black and Donald Irwin, a Canadian constable riding with a Florida officer to observe American law enforcement procedures, were doing a routine check at a rest stop. They approached what appeared to be an abandoned car and found several people sleeping inside. Officer Black spotted a pistol lying in the seat and woke the occupants up. Inside the car was Jesse Tafero, his wife Sonia Sonny Jacobs, their 2 children, and Walter Rhodes. So
That's
I don't know.
a lot of people in a car.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever
like a
slept in a
station wagon.
rest stop, but it's pretty sketchy. I would have a gun too, so
Yeah.
can't really argue with that. But the officer asked the men to step out of the car and began questioning them. Black learned via the radio that Rhodes had a criminal record and prepared to arrest Rhodes for a weapons violation.
What?
Yeah. A fight broke out between the patrolmen, and both were shot.
Holy crap.
Officer Black died from a gunshot wound to the head and neck, and Officer Irwin received fatal wounds to his right eye and shoulder.
Oh my God.
So the group then fled the scene in the cops' patrol car.
My God. Of course they did.
Driven by Rhodes, they went to a nearby apartment complex where Rhodes... yeah. Complex. They went to a nearby apartment complex where Rhodes dumps the patrol car, then carjacked another car and kidnapped the driver.
Oh my God.
So they take off. By this time, though, news spreads fast. If a cop gets shot,
Yeah.
it's all points bulletin. So there's roadblocks set up. Rhodes comes up on one of these roadblocks, tries to go around it, crashes the car. So all three of them were arrested. And a gun was found in Jesse's waistband. So at first, all three of them were charged with capital murder.
Yeah.
But Rhodes turned state's evidence and said that in exchange for his testimony against Jesse and Sonny, he would be allowed a plea deal, and he would plead guilty to second-degree murder to avoid the death penalty.
Oh,
so
man.
We've seen how this goes before already in our short show's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. People that make pleas, you're going to get screwed.
I mean,
yeah.
You should know better.
Don't do the crime.
At all.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it. Like, you right there. Stop thinking about it. Stop.
Yep. The prosecutors justified Rhodes' plea bargain based on a polygraph saying that Rhodes had passed and was telling them the truth. But the results of this test were withheld from the defense by the state.
Oh, my God.
So Jesse and Sonny would go to trial. Sonny and Jesse would be tried separately, but by the same judge. I thought that was odd. I mean, maybe it's common, I don't know. And maybe smaller places, the same judge would...
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have many judges, then obviously that's one... I mean, you deal with what you got, but...
The trial was surrounded by massive publicity, which was overwhelmingly unfavorable to the pair. Did I even say that a little bit right?
Yeah, I think so.
Overwhelmingly unfavorable.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, everybody basically knew about it.
Yeah.
And everybody was already pissed off at them.
Once
and
you're
like,
labeled a
no.
cop killer by the media, it's going to be hard to overcome that.
The media totally will screw people. I mean, if they even get a hint of, gossip.
Yeah. Well, every juror that they interviewed on whatever they call that during jury duty or whatever, when they start picking jury members, said they knew about the case. They finally selected a jury, but none of them were sequestered.
Oh my God.
The judge for the case was known as Maximum Dan.
Maximum Dan?
Yeah.
Like all the way Dan?
All the way Dan.
All the way Dan.
He's known as Maximum Dan because of all the harsh sentences that he handed
he gave
down.
him the max sentence.
And if you went in there, it's rubber stampy Dan.
You're all the way screwed.
All the way screwed.
All the way
Nobody
Dan.
wanted Dan.
Yeah.
He was a former highway patrol trooper who kept a miniature replica of the electric chair on his desk and had only retired from the police force 3 years prior to trial.
So he was
just a little bit biased.
He wanted it to happen.
Yeah. Once the trial started, Jesse and Sonny maintained from the beginning that Rhodes had shot the officers, and they had no choice but to go along with them after the shooting.
Oh my gosh.
According to Jesse, Rhodes shot the officers and handed the gun to him so that Rhodes could drive off. Which, I don't know, it sounds kind of fishy.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't drive and hold a gun? I've done that.
Have you? That's terrifying. I'm learning so many more things about my boyfriend through this podcast. So thanks, guys.
According to Rhodes, Sonny first shot at the officers from the back seat of the car. So he just straight pinned it on her.
Yeah.
He then said Jesse got away from the officer holding him down on the hood, grabbed the gun from Sonny, and shot the two police officers.
Oh, holy crap.
So that seems like a lot of work.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
How athletic was this fella?
To move from it's like some Matrix stuff going on.
Like, did he run cross country? Cross country? Did he what did he do? How fit was he?
Yeah. Well, the gun that shot both of the officers was legally registered to Sonny.
Oh, heavens.
Both Jesse and Rhodes had gunpowder residue on their hands. So that's kind of a fact that was consistent with Jesse's claim that Rhodes handed him the gun.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be residual gunpowder on the gun.
Yeah.
But there was no gunpowder residue on Sonny's hands. There were two eyewitnesses that testified for the state. There were two truck drivers who watched from about 200 foot away. Neither truck driver could say who the shooter was, but both said in their first statements to police that Jesse was pinned over the hood of the car during all the shots. Both truck drivers saw slightly different things, but the most significant thing in common was where Rhodes was standing. Rhodes was always standing in the front of the car and moved to the back of the car as shots were fired. This is important because according to ballistics, the shots had to come from the rear of the car.
Oh, man.
So Jesse was pinned to the front of the car.
Yeah.
So he couldn't have been shooting from the back of the car.
Yeah.
And they brought in a jailhouse snitch, so you know how trustworthy these are. He said that Jesse told him that he would never go back to prison and he would rather go down in a hell of bullets than spend another day in jail.
Oh, my God.
Sonny also had a jailhouse snitch.
Jailhouse snitch.
Jailhouse snitch brought in
Why
her
do you
trial.
talk to people and tell them crap about your trial in jail? Do not divulge any information. Keep your mouth closed, man.
Yeah, she testified that Sonny confessed to her that she had killed the police and would do it again. So, yeah, that's just something you're going to give out.
Oh, my God.
Because you know prison guards don't like cop killers either.
Oh, I know. Of course not.
The snitch was released from jail in exchange for her testimony. So with all this, the jury found both of them guilty of capital murder. The judge sentenced Jesse to death. The jury recommended a life sentence for Sonny, but old Maximum Dan imposed the death penalty on her too.
Oh, my God.
So
they're all getting it.
Well, almost.
All the way down.
Yep. Jesse and Sonny continued the relationship through letters while serving time in prison. There was no female death row in Florida at that time, so Sonny was put into solitary confinement for the first 5 years of her imprisonment.
Holy crap.
And allowed out only once or twice a week for exercise.
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, she learned through these letters that she was talking with Jesse that the male death row prisoners had greater privileges, so she filed a lawsuit that gave her access to 2 books a week and 4 hours a week to leave her cell. So she's pretty smart.
Yeah. She's a smart one. I mean, you get what you get, but
yeah,
she's a smart lady for, fighting for what rights she should have.
Yeah, she said this about her time in solitary confinement. She said, living in a world of one, she could measure just 6 steps between the toilet and the steel door. She could touch the walls by stretching out her arms. She had no window, no mirror, no natural light.
Oh my God, that'll put a girl in depression real quick.
Well, she learned yoga to pass the time, and she finally got moved to general population, so she began teaching yoga to other prisoners.
Huh.
She said Jesse's letters sustained her, kept her going.
Yeah. I'm sure, because that's some of the only human contact that she was getting.
Yeah. One of the final letters he sent to her said, "You are my woman, as close as my breath. You're the strongest female I've ever known, hand in glove, So it's kind of sweet.
Aww. I mean, for
prison,
killers.
Maybe.
Sweet killer.
Jacob was permitted a 10-minute phone call with Jesse before his execution.
Holy crap.
So at least he got to talk to her.
Yeah.
Evidence discovered after the trial showed that Rhodes had not passed the polygraph test that the state had suppressed, which contained statements contradicting Rhodes' testimony.
Oh my God.
The Florida Supreme Court commuted Sonny's sentence to life in prison, saying that Maximum Dan lacked sufficient basis to override the jury's sentencing recommendations.
Oh, of course.
So at least that's...
good for her.
So after Jesse was executed, Rhodes finally confessed that he was the one that shot the officers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So said that...
So one man's life gone forever just because of this liar head.
And so Jesse and Sonny were both completely ruined as people.
Yeah.
Were just in the car. Still, it's a crappy situation, but they didn't know this dude was going to go crazy and start killing cops.
God bless.
After he said that, he told the police, or he's just made a statement and said, "I'm not an angel. I am a convict after all. I've told a lie or two in my life."
A lie or two.
Yeah.
or like $1.5 billion. You know, same diff.
Rhodes was released from prison on parole after serving only 18 years.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Yep. He absconded from parole shortly thereafter, violating his parole, and was a fugitive again.
Oh, my God.
10 years later, he was caught in Washington State and is now back in prison, so that's at least comforting.
Yeah. Where he belongs to be.
Sonny's case was reversed on appeal. She was found guilty of second-degree murder and released with time served.
Good.
So she spent all these years in prison for just pretty much being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And she's now an anti-death penalty advocate.
Yeah. I mean, I would be too.
Yeah. She married another man who was also falsely convicted and placed on death row, and he was later released. So I thought that was weird. They have a website you can go to and check out.
Yeah.
They now enjoy a life together, and they both kind of travel around and speak about anti-death penalty stuff. She spoke a little about Rhodes after his last run-in with the law, saying, "If this guy was living a decent life, it seems almost a shame to put him back in jail." So, I mean, that's kind of... She's more forgiving than I would be.
Yeah, she's more forgive and forget and move on with your life.
Jacobs said she has long gotten over whatever anger she may have once felt for Rhodes, and she wondered what good it would do for Florida police to haul Rhodes back there simply for violating his parole. She said Rhodes' false testimony must have been in desperation in the face of capital murder charges, which is true.
I mean, I can understand that, but also... You did the crime.
Yeah, I mean, they had him. Yeah,
lie about it.
They probably thought that they had an easy way out since they knew they had the gun pinned on Jesse. So
yeah.
It was an easy, to offer him something since it's not his gun.
Yeah.
She said the case should be a lesson in against offering plea deals in death penalty cases. Which, yeah.
Agreed.
She said, but at this point in my life, it's none of my business. In a way, I moved on from there. I can say that happily, this has nothing to do with me anymore. So, she's a pretty strong woman.
She is.
Pretty much a badass.
I feel like I would probably be a little bit more hateful. I would hold more resentment.
Yeah, I would for sure.
It would take me a long time to be able to release that anger.
I would want Rhodes dead.
I know you would.
The hate bell would ring strong.
Hate bell. Ding!
That
was not planned at all.
That guy is just a piece of crap.
Yeah, he's awful.
So, I don't know. That's why I think the story... 2 cops lost their lives. That's sad.
Yeah.
Jesse lost his life. And Sonny lost a lot of her life.
Yeah,
and nobody cares about old Rhodes. So.
She had to completely... reinvent herself, I'm sure, after that, because she served all this time being in solitary. She's probably had to completely redo who she is as a person outside of prison.
Yes, yoga really helped her though. So
yeah, but I don't know. My personality would be screwed.
Yeah,
my personality's kind of screwed, anyways.
I would go shank Rhodes.
Yeah, you would. You're a little violent. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting story. I can't remember where I eventually, our first time I seen it at, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Never heard of it.
I think it was when his execution happened about the fire coming up his head.
What year was that?
I don't remember.
Oh. Okay.
I'm sure you give it a Google. If I was a good storyteller, I'd
give it a goggle.
I could probably tell you that, but hey, bottle of Crown Royal had my name on it. So
we drank just a little bit, y'all.
Tell these people where they can find us.
All
Keisha.
right. Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can find us at Tequila and Terror Podcast on Facebook, at Tequila and Terror Podcast on Instagram, at... What's our Twitter username?
Just forget about Twitter. I'm not
Tequila Terror
into it.
I think
something or another.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
And then if you would like to email us, you can email us at tequilaandterror@gmail.com.
I can tell you what you can do though. You can all go to hell. No.
God.
Go to tequilaandterror.com and that will take you to everything that we have all in one little clickable button.
Oh I forgot about that. Hey, we have a website, y'all.
Looks like it was made in 2000, but it's still a website.
You are so far away from the mic, babe.
It looks like it was made in the year 2000.
All right. But yeah, we have Facebook, Instagram, kind of a Twitter. Send us emails if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions.
We did get some story ideas.
Yeah,
So,
if you have any story ideas that you want us to look
and I'm
look
gonna
up.
do one of them soon, and I think we're gonna have a live episode
Any
coming up soon.
Memphis adjacent places. We're not gonna tell you where we live, but you know. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening. We will catch you later.
Thanks. Have a good day. Did I just end that with thanks? Have a good day. Okay. Well.